Hi there guys, lovely to be with you all again today. It's Wednesday the 11th of April. Hope you're having a good week so far. Some of you are still on holiday, the Easter holidays from school. Hope you're having a good time. Maybe you're getting some study done, I don't know. Parents, maybe you're still struggling because the kids are off school. Hope you have a good day. Grandparents, maybe you're childminding too. Hope your day is good. We're thinking of all of you. Thanks very much for joining with us today. You can see these lovely flowers here. We went to see some of our Facebook family and they gave us this lovely bouquet, and I'd like you to share it with me today. We're looking at the little book of Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament. Comes after Psalms. You get Psalms, Proverbs, then Ecclesiastes. It's written by King Solomon. We had him yesterday, how God came to him in a dream and said, "What do you want me to give you, Solomon? Ask me for whatever you want." And Solomon, you'll remember, asked for wisdom. God said, "I'm going to make you the wisest man that has ever lived. And because you didn't ask for wealth, I'm going to make you the wealthiest man that ever lived too." And so Solomon was a king. He had great wisdom, great knowledge, and he also had great wealth. And here in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon is exploring life and he's taking us with him. It's a bit like a young boy sitting down with his grandfather and his grandfather explaining some of his life's experiences to the young boy. That's what it's like here in Ecclesiastes. And Solomon is exploring life and he's looking at the meaning of life. And he comes to a pretty sad conclusion. It's all meaningless and chasing after the wind. So he's a bit negative. But we want to explore with him some of his experiences here. Solomon is trying to find out, what's the best way to enjoy your life and to be happy? And he was in a position to try absolutely anything, you know. Because of his wisdom and because of his money, he could do absolutely anything and have absolutely anything. And you know, sometimes we think, if only I had a lot of money, I would be happy. If only I had this, I would be happy. If only I was married to her, I would be happy. And we say, if only, if only, if only. And we think, if only this would happen, then I would have it made. Well, Solomon is pointing out here that that is not the case, because he did have it made, and yet there was still something missing. He still wasn't happy. He still, like the wee song says, he would have sung it if he'd known it at that time, I can't get no satisfaction. Solomon tried everything. First of all, he said, I'm going to try study. Well, he had been given great wisdom. So he didn't just study in all the libraries that were available to him. He owned them. He owned the books. He owned the scrolls. He owned the library. And he had everything at his fingertips. Of course, all the best teachers. He could have hired them all. And he did increase his knowledge and his wisdom. Nobody knew more than he did. People came from all over the world to listen to him, to hear his wisdom, to learn from him. And so Solomon said, I'm going to study. I'm going to be very, very wise. And at the end of the day, with all his wisdom and learning, he says it's meaningless. It's chasing after the wind. Then he said, well, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to deny myself no pleasure. And so he built himself houses and palaces. Everything that money could buy was at his fingertips. You know, it says that Solomon was so wealthy that he made gold and silver as common as the stones in the street. He had absolutely Billions and billions and billions. The greatest billionaire of billionaires was Solomon. So he said, I'm going to build houses. I'm going to make myself beautiful gardens and parks. He says, I'm going to have fruit trees and reservoirs, and I'm going to have horses and chariots, and I'm going to have cattle and animals. My farms are going to be magnificent. And so Solomon, he got all of that together. Then he said, I'm going to have slaves, male slaves and female slaves. And from all around the world he acquired these slaves, and children of slaves were born in his household, and they served him. You know, it was magnificent. You know, if you went to dinner with Solomon, all his waiters and his waitresses serving, it took your breath away. Kings and queens came and they were breathless when they sat down at Solomon's table, and they just saw it. It would be like you going to the most expensive hotel in the world and being served all these courses at the most beautiful restaurant in the world. I don't know where that is, but you know what it is when you go on holiday. Maybe you're in these beautiful restaurants, and some of them just take your breath away at just the style and the paintings on the wall and the decor and the crystal and the silver cutlery and the waiters and the waitresses and the beautiful serving dishes and the beautiful food. It just takes your breath away. Well, Solomon, he just had that morning, noon and night, you know. He had that just at his fingertips. It was just the order of the day to him. And then he had wives, he had a harem. Hugh Hefner wouldn't have had a look in at Solomon. He had all these beautiful women from all over the world, just as his wives and girlfriends in his harem. And so Solomon, he was a playboy of playboys. He had absolutely everything at his fingertips. He had singers, you know. I know they're broken up now, but he didn't just have Westlife coming to do him a concert or Rihanna, you know. He owned Rihanna, you know. She just sang for him every day. That was what it was like. Absolutely fantastic. The singers, he would have had the recording studios and owned all the bands, you know. If they'd had that in his day. Absolutely fantastic. Solomon just had absolutely everything, and yet, you know, his conclusion was, after he'd tried it all, meaningless and chasing after the wind, he didn't find real satisfaction in those things at all. It makes you think, you know. Sometimes we think that things will make us happy, and they don't. And of course he had fame as well. He was the most famous king in all the world. As I said already, kings and queens. The Queen of Sheba, she came with all her gifts and all her great retinue, and they came, and her breath was taken away, and she had to say the half has not been told. And so Solomon was famous. He was wealthy. He had everything. He was wise. He worked at all these projects, you know. He gave himself to his work, and he couldn't find satisfaction in his work and in the success of his work either. Some of us are workaholics, you know. We try to get meaning in our work and satisfaction in our work, but at the end of the day, Solomon says, work. He says, work, it's just meaningless, and the chasing after the wind. And he says, I've amassed all this money, and I've got all these parks and houses and all, and he says, but I've still got to die, and I've got to leave it behind for others. And who knows if I'm going to leave it for a wise man or leave it for a fool, someone that'll just waste it all. And many men and women, and I've known some of them, they've worked their fingers to the bone, and they've left all this money to their children who've just gone out and gambled it all or wasted it all on some foolish thing. And I've thought to myself, wow, those parents, they left all that money, they deprived themselves of things, of enjoyments, of holidays, of things they could have had. They sold their house, got a small house in the retirement so that they could leave the money to their children. Look, the children are just squandering it all. And I've said, wow, you know, it makes you think. So hey guys, listen to this message today. You know, we will never be happy or satisfied by things or by pleasures or by our work or by other people in our lives. You know, we can't get meaning and real satisfaction in anything, in ourselves or in others or in things. There's only one place to have satisfaction and fulfillment and joy and peace and hope and something that's lasting, something that nobody can take away. And that joy and that peace and that satisfaction are found only in Jesus. I tell you guys, Jesus satisfies. Jesus will save you. Jesus will come into your life by His Holy Spirit. And Jesus will satisfy you for time, for the years of time, and for all of eternity, which cannot be measured in years, in His kingdom, where it's all beauty and all joy and all wonderful. But along with it is satisfaction and a peace and a joy that will last forever and ever, and that nothing will ever take away. Hey guys, we cannot get satisfaction down here in the things around us. Oh yes, we can enjoy them. Yes, it's lovely to look at a sunset. It's lovely to have a nice meal. I'm not decrying any of those things. It's lovely to have friends. It's lovely to have a good relationship. But you know guys, at the end of the day, you know, we've got to put our hope and our trust in Jesus, because only He can satisfy. Hey guys, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your emails and your messages of love and encouragement. Keep them coming. And remember this, real satisfaction, you want it today, get to Jesus right away, because only He satisfies. God bless you, and see you soon.